Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I have a fantastic guest for us today talking about child-free wealth and retirement planning for the dual income, no kids earners in that type of cohort. If you're a doctor, lawyer, dentist in the audience, single partner, married, no kids, Bri is the one for you. So I'm really happy to pick your brain. Bri, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. I know we had another member of your team, Jay Zigmon, come on, and we connected at FinCon. So it's really nice to have another member of the team. So discuss your role at Childfree Wealth, and I'm excited to pick your brain.
Yeah. So I am one of the planners here at Childfree Wealth, and I also do the podcast. I'm out and about. My face is a lot of places when it comes to, if you search Childfree Wealth, there's a high likelihood that my face is also going to show up
Yeah.
because I'm out, I'm about talking about it all the time. And I work one-on-one with clients. I work with our team. I just work across the whole firm.
Yeah, excellent. And what's interesting is what is it because you're the chief experience officer at Childfree Wealth. What is it that your skill and expertise brings you to Childfree Wealth?
Yeah. So my background, I was in marketing and then I switched to finance. And I did a lot of with marketing, you're going out and you're selling to people and you're doing all those things. And so my job initially started as marketing, and then it was I'm really good with people and can work with both team members and clients. And I really like helping people make sure that they have a good experience because not only do I want to help clients, but I also recognize that if we're helping clients and then it's negatively impacting our team, that's not really helping anybody. So my skill set there is I can work both kind of sides of the coin and see what works for everybody and find a solid solution so we can go forward and make things run pretty easily.
Interesting. Yeah. And we'll dive into this whole area of child-free wealth because I know I talked to a lot of certified financial planners, investment advisors, and it's like doctors. It's if you don't specialize, you're a commodity. So it looks like a lot of CFPs are diversifying, branching out. And I want to really touch upon this area of child-free wealth. Is what is the statistics like people who are child-free looking for retirement planning strategies? Is it different than regular? Talk about that.
I think we have a lot of people who come to us and they're worried about whether or not they can retire. That seems to be one of the biggest questions. I get so many intakes saying, "Hey, I found this calculator online. It says I'm way behind. And I don't know if that's right because I don't have kids or I don't have a partner or my partner and I don't have kids." And so we sit down and work through some of those fears because a lot of the calculators that are out there online are planning with the idea that you want to leave money behind for people when you die. For our clients, that's often not a concern for them. And when you're looking at that, it can really bring about a lot of anxiety, stress and anxiety for clients who say, I think I'm behind, I'm not saving enough. The amount of times that I will do an initial call with people, we call it our checkup call, and I'll go through everything and kind of say, hey, this is what I see, this is the plan for you. And then I'll always follow up and see if they have questions. I get so many questions saying, am I on track? And can I really do this? Yes. Other ones, do I need to start saving substantially more? Usually the answer is no. It very much depends on where people are at. But there's such a big worry about not having enough. And I think for the first 3 to 6 months of our work, many times is just getting people comfortable with the idea that it's okay, what they've saved is enough. Because people will come to us with millions of dollars in investments in the bank and all these different things. And they're still like, it's not enough. It's not enough. Yes, there is going to be a point when it is enough.
Yeah, which brings me to this next question because I'm a member of the FIRE community and this whole idea because a lot of my colleagues are doctors and they're like, yeah, they make X amount of income, they have X amount of expenses, and they're like, you're supposed to save up for whatever 30, 40 years. Retirement isn't like this magic number, and then they're like, I have to make that number before I can like walk away. That's pretty ridiculous. But when you're talking about like people that are like child free, what are the strategies? How are the strategies different than those that do have children?
Yeah. So when we're looking for a client and planning with them, if they're doing die with zero, we always say ongoing planning is very important. You cannot do die with zero and only do a one-time plan. You need to be continually checking in on this. Otherwise, the plan's just not going to work. But part of that is going on and continue. Did you just lose me or did I cut out part of it?
I
Can you So when we're working with people who are doing die with zero, it's really important that we do ongoing planning because die with zero is going to be a little bit different. You're working to spend down your money, and part of that is you need to check in to make sure you're spending it down appropriately, but you're also not spending it down too fast. When we work with clients, we look and we say, okay, put off Social Security till age 70. Let's plan a cash cushion at the end. We need a plan for long-term care because a lot of those fire numbers out there don't account for the fact that long-term care is really expensive. In 2025, it's about $127,000 a year. That's going up by 5% a year. If you're firing with the idea that you're going to spend $40,000 or $50,000 a year in expenses, those numbers are way off. So we go ahead and plan for those things. We also put in place guardrails. So what's the minimum amount that you need to spend? And what's the maximum amount you need to spend? But again, we have to check in, what are the markets doing? And are they down or are they up? Like right now, they're down. If your plan still works and the market's down, it's probably a pretty good plan. If it's looking a little shaky, maybe we need to reevaluate things a little bit there. But those are the main components that we're aiming for. And just try and build our plan off before our clients. Because if we can get those three things down and they're checking in constantly, they're going to be in a good position.
Yeah, really interesting. And the more people I talk to, some of my colleagues are firing, and the more people I talk to, the more it's rare to retire in an up market than it is in a down market. Because most people I ask, they retired, they're like, yeah, I retired and then the market dropped 20%. It's like you hear this constantly. But you mentioned this term die with zero, and there's a great book about it, and I read it and I was like, hey, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, why die with like hundreds of millions and give it all to the government to waste? So talk about this concept of die with zero, and how does it, and why is it beneficial? And instead of, because you hear about the Bush and Kennedy and Obama's, why is die with zero a better idea?
Yeah. So Dying with Zero, the book is by Bill Perkins, and it's a fantastic book. And in there, he talks about you've got three things. You've got time, money, and health. And throughout your life, you have varying amounts of each. We often say at Childfree Wealth, you've got time, money, and freedom. And so when we're looking at plans, we're saying, how can we optimize all of these things? Our clients are coming to us and they're saving along the standard life script is you go to school, you get married, you buy a house, you have kids, you build wealth, you retire, you die, and you pass your wealth on. Okay, but when we're going back to one of the initial steps in there and have kids and our clients don't have kids, we're really just throwing a complete wrench in that plan. And so it doesn't make sense to keep building a ton of wealth to pass on to somebody because there's nobody to pass it on to. Sure, we have clients who will say, oh, I've got nieces and nephews I want to do things for, or I really love certain organizations. Let's have a conversation about doing those things while you're still alive. One, with the organizations, you can see the impact. You get tax deductions for that. Nieces and nephews, why not do something with them or help them out sooner in life? I can't remember the exact ages for what Bill Perkins said in his book, but one of the best times to give money to people is like in their 20s or late 20s, early 30s. Because think about it, you're coming out of school, you're starting off life, you're trying to do all these things, you probably don't have a ton of money. And so if somebody can get in there and help you out a little bit, that really can make a huge difference. And that's what we'll talk to our clients about is what can we do to impact their lives now? Because, hey, it's great. You could put a bunch of money aside and then think about even our clients who will receive inheritances. Some of them, it's like they're receiving these in their 50s and 60s. And they're going, I already have enough, but I could have done things. And there are things I wanted to do. And I just don't have the health maybe to do some of those things anymore. So how can we do that in a time and change people's lives in a way that'll really impact them for the long term, not just towards the end of their life?
With demographics, it sounds like the institution of marriage is dying. It's almost like religion or church or just getting married is a thing of the past, and people are just, it's too risky. You can lose half your assets, and it's just not worth it. And so what percentage of the population is going towards this child-free wealth retirement planning?
So the numbers that we have, they come out of Michigan, and they say it's like it really depends on where you're at, because there's the census data you can find, and there's Pew. There's anywhere from, some places will say 20-ish% to 47%. It really depends on where you're going. There's not a ton of research on it though.
Hmm.
That's the problem right now, is we don't have a lot of research. We have very few numbers. And so I think, as a look around at the people, you think more and more people are going and saying, I'm not having kids. It's really also where you're based at in the country too. There are places that have a lot more kids. I've got a sibling, a younger sibling, and they live in South Dakota where I grew up. All their friends are getting married and having kids. I'm one of two friends in my age group that are married, and I've got one more getting married here. Only one friend has kids. Everybody else is no thanks. So it really depends on where you're at in the country too.
Hmm.
But just look around. More and more people now are saying, I'm not having kids, probably because it didn't really even present as an option to not have children before.
Yeah. And the way the world is going, I know who I talked to a lot of my friends. They're like, yeah, why would I want to have kids in this day and age? You have to worry about gun violence, and you have to worry about, are they going to be off? It's harder and harder to get rich these days yeah. So talk about some of your, with child-free wealth, talk about some of your core beliefs, your missions, your vision, how you help clients. Talk about that.
Yeah. So we really strive to empower the child-free community to live an amazing life. We like to do that. We always say, simple finances, amazing life. We will have so many people come to us, and their finances can be really complex. Sometimes it's because they were going through and they saw all these things. They're like, let's try this and let's do this. Other times it's societal pressure. We have a large number of soloists. And when we have those soloists, I wish I could even begin to think of a soloist who has not at some point said, I think I should do this because so and so said. There is so much pressure around these individuals and the community to go and follow the standard life plan or say they need to do this. It's really just sometimes an acceptance piece on other family members or friends of them needing to say, okay, never mind, it's not my life. And so we always say, what life are you living? Not what are your friends living, not what are your parents living, what life are you living? And over again, I can say it 20 different ways in a meeting sometimes of, let's simplify your finances so you can make an amazing life. Let's simplify your finances so you can make an amazing life. And it feels like I'm a broken record at times. And like what we do is just a broken record playing over and over. But it really is so important, because I don't know any client who says, I want to spend a ton of time thinking about my finances. Even in couples where there's somebody who's really into personal finance, there's still somebody who really isn't. I was talking to a family member this week, and she goes, Bri, your hobby has always been personal finance, so it makes sense that you made a career out of it. My wife, on the other hand, she's not really into personal finance. She likes the money, but she doesn't like going through and looking at all these things. So when you're in a couple and there's one person really into it and one person who's not, how can we make a solution so both people understand it and are happy with it? Because the reality is, the person who's really into finance might die or become incapacitated or have some sort of cognitive decline. And then the other person is there left picking up the pieces. And if there's not at least some picture for that person to pick up, or some plan or things that they can understand, that is really difficult.
Yeah. The next question I have for you is, under this, talk about your services that you offer. You have a child-free wealth checkup, a core offering, and academy, and help clients can learn more about you.
Yeah. So our checkup is always going to be the first place that we tell everybody to start. You can go, you pay, we send you a couple forms, and then you fill them out. You put information into our financial planning system, and you also fill out a form. We go through and we rank different things. Much like when you take your vehicle in and get it evaluated, they always give you a little document that has red, yellow, green. Like what things are going good, what things need some work, and what things just to be on the lookout for. That's what we do. We have the meeting, we go through everything we found, and we have a conversation with you. We make adjustments to the document, and then a couple days later, we send it to you completed. That's step one. And then from there, clients can become a Childfree Wealth 365 client. It's that core offering, and that's one-on-one planning. And so for the first year, it's typically every month we meet, we work on one life thing, one finance thing to really get your life and both your life and financial plan set. After that, meetings taper off a little bit. And that's if you need more like high touch and personalized attention. The Academy is free. People can hop into the Academy, and that's really more DIY. So if you've got questions, there's videos in there, there's articles in there. We've got general Q&As as well. People can join and hop in. Those are group setting Q&As. So that's something if you're on your own and you're just saying, hey, I'm not at the point where I can necessarily go for the one-on-one planning, or I just want to DIY, go to the Academy. But you can always do the checkup, and then we'll give you a recommendation. We'll say, hey, we think you're right for this. Hey, we think you're right for this.
And finally, end it with how can people connect with you, contact you? And I know because you have, in addition to your paid services, you have free resources. You've got a book, you got a Childfree Wealth podcast, and I know Jay does a lot of speaking and press. And how can people learn more about you and connect with you?
Yeah, you can go ahead and search Childfree Wealth, and you'll easily find us. Our website is childfreewealth.com. We are on the different social platforms at Childfree Wealth, and our podcast is also Childfree Wealth. Book you're mentioning, Dr. J's new book, The Childfree Guide to Life and Money, came out at the beginning of this year. That's something to pick up too and go through.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks so much. And I really enjoyed talking with you and connecting with FinCon, and keep up the great work.